1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang 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 chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang 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 chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. This is episode 167. Calling this bad boy 2 birds, 1 scone. I apologize in advance for the audio. I'm actually recording this as a voice memo on my phone. And then I'm going to try to put this on my computer, if I can figure that out, and upload this episode. But, you know, it's usually, I don't know, whenever I try to travel and if I make the decision that I'm going to try and record the podcast remotely, usually I run into some hiccups either before I leave or once I get there. And then I'm like, gosh, I'm glad I didn't do that. Didn't make that choice today. I made it here. I brought my Mac Mini and I brought my laptop. So I'm not able to connect my Mac Mini to the TV that's in here. That's how I set it up at home. I just plug in the HDMI cord and then I'm able to just use my TV as a monitor. And it just won't happen in this hotel room. I'm at the fucking Westin, and it's pretty huge TV, but I was like, yeah, this is going to be pretty solid to do some work with that. But I brought my Xbox as well, as I was saying. I was on the fence about that. I wanted to do some streaming. Obviously, I did not do that because I was not able to connect anything with the HDMI ports. When I follow the instructions, what the TV is even telling me to do, I'm not able to connect anything and use either my Xbox or my Mac Mini, which I usually record with. I try not to record with my MacBook, as you guys should know if you don't know, because the fan gets really loud. It overheats. But I was actually using my laptop the other day to do some rough drafts in GarageBand, and it wasn't super loud. So maybe that little laptop can't run. It's just not fit to run Studio One 4 or 5 because it will absolutely freak out. I mean, I'm using isotope plugins, like third-party plugins. I'm using all this other shit. So that thing goes crazy when I use Studio One and when I use all those other plugins. And you might be saying, well, then why aren't you just recording this on your laptop? Because as I said, everything either goes wrong before or when I got here. When I got here, as you guys should know, I mean, if you don't know, I usually post videos these days, either on YouTube and Instagram, where you can see my face. I won't have that happen today because, when I got here, I took my tripod out of my bag. It was out of the bag, nothing was on it, and then one of the legs just snapped off, made the noise, snapped off in my hand. And I'm just like, well, what the fuck? All right, I guess this is done. I already got another one that I ordered. My wife said it came in. Because my wife is back home. Happy birthday to Dee Dee, Deja Destiny. She's TT Sarah. It's her birthday, I believe, tomorrow. So when this episode comes back, you guys just say out loud, happy birthday, Deja Destiny. Don't try to find anyone. Don't be creepy and try to find somebody with that name. Just say out loud, happy birthday, Deja Destiny. So my wife isn't here. I'm on this trip solo dolo. And as I said, I ordered a new tripod that's home back in Wisconsin. I'm here in Colorado, in Denver. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to have to try to prop that up somewhere to still record video. But then I learned that I wasn't able to use my Mac Mini. And that's where I have the whole OBS set up with the image slideshows that I throw on there now. That's where all that stuff is set up. And I don't have it set up on my MacBook for whatever reason, I wasn't able to set this trip. I wasn't able to sync this trip on my Marriott Bonvoy app. So because of that, like if I can set it up on the app, then I get free Wi-Fi. But since I can't, then it's like $10 a day. And I was like, sir, I am calling bullshit on that. Like I just can't sign in to the one thing that would allow me to have free Wi-Fi. So yeah, things are just going bad. I can't use the internet without fucking paying for it. It's pretty whack. So I was about to just record the podcast on my MacBook, try to use GarageBand. And, well, the other day when I was doing rough drafts, the audio kept, like, cutting out in my microphone. And I was like, ooh, I'm just going to set this down, leave it alone before I fuck something up, and I can't record the podcast. So when I fucking grabbed the microphone today, like, the cord, the USB, it's like the thicker, like probably 2.0, the old school, like USB. I'm looking around all the extra cords that I brought with me, and nothing is that old technology. Like I've had this mic since like maybe like 2017, 2016. I've had this mic for quite some time. So it's the older USB, and the part that plugs in, that big fat part, just like shattered. I mean, it's been going through a lot of abuse at home. Like I would see it, and like I don't know how the cords would get tangled up, and I would just see that thing like just bent to shit, and I'd be like, "Holy fuck, how is this still working?" And today it just all fell apart. So right away I was like, "Fuck, I can't record on this fucking laptop. I can't use the microphone to record. I could I guess I probably could have just like talked into my laptop." But then at that point, I'm still worried that the fan will start to get loud, and you know what I'm saying. So I'm recording it here with my phone, and then I'm going to try to transfer it over if I can, try my best. But man, I am honestly hungover from last night. Feeling the best that I'm feeling right now. I got the heat in here fucking cranked up to like 86, 85. Like, it's... And I feel like I need to turn it up, dude. I was freezing in here. Fucking freezing, man. If you guys want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. If you guys would like to hit that like button, give it 5 stars wherever you listen to this podcast, whatever it takes to let the people know you love this podcast, well, go ahead and do it. I appreciate you so much for doing so. And if you guys... Unfortunately, I planned to stream when I was here in Denver, but I wasn't able to. But if you believe that I will one day, I won't lead you astray. Follow me on Twitch, and you can watch me stream someday. You can start gaming pretty soon here. Head on over to twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys would like to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. Go ahead and pick yourself up a shirt, maybe a sweatshirt. It's getting cold out here these days. And lastly, don't just be my niche, be my patron. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. I don't know if this episode's going to be too long. I'm actually going to head out to, head into some restaurant. I'm about to go to dinner with Ansh, my buddy Ansh, and her boyfriend Joey. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I was just seeing how much the lift cost. You know what's real? It's not like this isn't my first time being black, which is the reoccurring theme for me in this trip. But like, I was trying to get an Uber to go to this Adam Sandler party. I'm dressed as Lil Nicky. I was trying to go to the Adam Sandler party, but every Uber driver that accepted my black ass trip, like 2 seconds later, they'd probably accept it, look at the picture of my black ass, and then fucking reject it. Sometimes the drivers, like if I'm in a bad neighborhood, they'll accept the trip, see where I am, and then try to wait me out. Because if I cancel the ride after a certain time, then they still get paid like a certain percentage of that fucking ride, like for me canceling. So this one guy tried to wait me out, and I knew it was happening, and then eventually he canceled, and then it just spins around and is like searching for a ride. The fucking valet girl came out there. She's like, "I've never seen this happen." And I'm like, I've seen this happen a many times. This is not my first time being black. So like, I was like, fuck, I can't get an Uber here. I had to text everybody like, yo, I can't even get there. I don't know what's going on. And Joey tells me that he, as a black man, does not use Uber. Like, Uber does not usually pick up black people, which is unfortunate, but it's just the way it goes. They don't pick up black people in Denver. It's funny because when I was a kid, it's like, black man trying to catch a cab in New York. That was like the common fucking joke you get laughs with, just talking about a black man trying to catch a cab in New York. But a black man trying to catch a cab and catch an Uber in Denver is the exact same thing. I couldn't do it. But apparently Lyft fucks with black people, all right? They're down with the sisters and the brothers, all right? They're down with the bitches and hoes. Shout out to Lyft. All right, I'm about to head over to this restaurant in a little bit here. It's not too far from me. I was thinking about debating on walking, actually, depending on when I finish this little recording here. But so, if you guys just want a little quick rundown of just the nothing I've been doing here. Like, when I got here the first day, and then I realized when I was at I went to Comedy Works to see comedian Joe Zimmerman, Tony Dale open. They're both hilarious. I would suggest you guys all check them out. But when I'm there toward the end of the show and I start to get all stuffy, and then it hit me that, like, I've never come there, like, with nasal spray. Like, so every time I'm in there, I get super stuffy. I start, like, sneezing. I start yawning. Like, I feel terrible when I'm in that fucking basement at Comedy Works. It's so dry in there. Like, my allergies usually kick my ass. So I fucking didn't take any Benadryl or anything, didn't take anything. And I got there, and by the end of the show, dude, I had just a pounding headache. And, like, but the show was still funny. Like, it was still a great way. Like, apparently they were filming a special, and they put my black ass, I went there alone, put my black ass in the very second row. I'm right in front of this guy. So if they use any of those clips, your boy's gonna be on a special with Joe Zimmerman. I'm pretty hype about that. I doubt it. Just when I started yawning and shit, and I was like feeling all stuffy, and my eyes felt like they were gonna pop out of my head, I was like, they're not using me in here. They're not gonna use my black ass. I got a good giggle. You know what I'm saying? I got a good giggle, so maybe they'll keep it in there, but we'll see what happens. But as I said, Joe Zimmerman, super funny guy. That's why we're calling this episode Two Birds, One Scone. He's just telling this pretty funny joke about how PETA wants to change the phrase kill two birds with one stone to feed two birds with one scone. You feel me? Like, and it was just pretty hilarious, all the different takes on that. But they're both pretty funny guys. All right, I would suggest everybody go check them out. But, yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, the next day, I took some Benadryl, I took some aspirin, and then I was feeling like myself by, like, noon or maybe before that. And then I was like, okay, let me go check out the gym. They got Peloton bikes down there. I'm fucking obsessed at this point. Those fucking bikes are nice, ladies and gentlemen. Like, you got the scenic fucking rides, man. It's pretty fucking cool. Only thing that I don't like is that I feel like I just got raped every time I get off that fucking bike. I can't walk straight. Like, that fucking little ass seat. Like, who the fuck is using that tiny ass seat? I get up and I'm just like, fucking A, like, I think it was like an episode of SpongeBob where he had like the starch in the pants and he's just walking side to side because he couldn't bend. Like, that's how I feel when I get off the Peloton. But other than that, I enjoy riding. But my ass takes a fucking pounding when I'm on that goddamn Peloton. But shout out to Peloton because you guys are doing something right. That shit's pretty fun. If you guys have never used a Peloton, it's like they have classes and all that shit, and you can pick whatever. And then, like, while you're working out, it'll tell you who else is all doing that same workout. And then, like, I'm like, naturally, maybe this isn't for everybody, but as I'm seeing that, you know what I'm saying? And my numbers are going up, and they have it ranked of who's fucking working out more, pretty much. Like, I naturally just go harder when I see that shit. And then if there's somebody who's like, I see stepping it up, well, it's like, all right, now I got to turn up that resistance and now we're gonna fucking push. Because, like, you're not about to pass me up. I'm gonna fucking leave you in my fucking dust. So I fucks with Peloton. It's pretty fun when you get into it. Pretty easy to get into it. So that was pretty fun. I would suggest you guys try it if you've never had a Peloton. I know you can, like, pay monthly. You can get a Peloton and pay monthly on it. I might try. Let's see what that's about. Like, we got a fucking treadmill at the house. I got a fucking beat the pussy up machine, which is an ab coaster. Like, I got kettlebells. I got quite a bit of workout equipment, but I think Peloton might just set that whole bitch off. You know what I'm saying? Pretty good bike. But so I went to go work out. Lifted, felt pretty great. And what did I do Friday? Where did we go? Oh, we went to the Nuggets game. Went to the Nuggets game. Got Bones Highland is fucking amazing. I had no idea who that guy was, but he's fucking amazing. Nuggets look like they got a pretty solid team. We went there, and then we stopped by some restaurant that was right next to Union Station. I forget what it was called, but it was like a cool-looking bar, like wide open space, and then they had like a wood-fired grill off in the back. Like, it was pretty cool. I forget the name of the place, but shout out to y'all for whatever. Saturday, which was yesterday, you know, I was here watching the fights that we're going to talk about here. If I didn't tell you guys, we're going to talk about UFC Vegas 63, and then we're going to talk about next week, a little bit of next week's card, UFC Vegas 64. And for the last time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to touch on Jake Paul, but I just don't, honestly, I'm over it. So Saturday I'm watching the fights, and they're pretty good fights, you know. I'm watching the fights, worked out, and then I tried to fucking go to that party, and that's when the shenanigans of no Ubers. You can't get an Uber if you're black in Denver. I'm right downtown. Like, I'm at the fucking Westin. This is a nice hotel, but they're like, absolutely not. Your black ass is not coming in this car. So that happened, and then we ended up going to, like, I got picked up by Joey, and then we went to this party on the west side. Everybody was in the 30s, so I was into that. They were playing, like, Spice Girls and all your favorite songs from your childhood. They were playing nothing but great music. So shout out to that whole place. Like, everybody was in, like, really dressed up and was into the costumes. Like, I was, you know, as I said, Lil Nicky, but nobody really knew until I showed them that Lil Nicky, and they're like, oh, most people were like, I've never even seen it. The one guys who have seen it were like, oh shit, you're on point. I'm like, yeah, bro. Got the wig, I got the pants, got everything here. I'm fucking Lil Nicky. So we did that. Then we went to some, like, dive bar afterwards. That was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool dive bar. And then I came back here. I would say I drank way too much at that party, though. And we brought, like, a bottle of fucking tequila, Espelaz or some shit. I forget what it's called. It's got, like, skulls or whatever shit on it. I never drank that before. But, yeah, I was just drinking it that night. Just straight from the fucking bottle. That's why I'm fucking... It took me until, like... I started recording this probably at, like, 6. Maybe right before 6. Because I was feeling like I was fucking dying in here all day. And I'm finally feeling, like, somewhat okay. But I feel like we're about to go to this restaurant, and then, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening after that, but at some point I gotta go get some Benadryl and just fucking knock the fuck out. All right? I think I gotta go to bed. Not too much hanging out in your boy tonight. Maybe, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but that was yesterday. Today's today. I've just been hungover, man. I went to get on the Peloton earlier, and I would have moments of, all right, I'm feeling good. I'm starting to work this out of me. And then like 2 seconds later, I'd feel like, oh shit, I'm about to fucking projectile vomit all of this out of me. So then I have to, like, calm down. But I got through, like, the 30-minute ride, like, forced myself to get through the 30-minute ride because I was like, well, let's just see how I feel once this ride is done. Turns out fucking worse. I felt even worse. So so then I was like, I was going to meet up with Andre and everybody earlier. But I was like, yo, I need to take a nap. I slept for like 3 hours because, yeah, I just felt pretty terrible. I'm telling you right now, it's like, if I was at home, if I wasn't like on vacation right now and people wanted to go out with how I'm feeling right now, I'm like, absolutely not. I'm staying home. And I'm just going to stay in bed and take some Benadryl. And I'm going to pass the fuck out. That Benadryl knocks me the fuck out, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I don't stand a chance. It's the leading ingredient is the same as a sleeping pill, so it's not surprising. But it knocks me the fuck out. So that's going to be my night, ladies and gentlemen, is Benadryl and a little bit of water. That's what we're doing here. UFC Vegas 63, headlined by Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen. It's funny that I tweeted out before the fight, like just before the fight, I tweeted that I don't want either one to lose, but I want Arnold Allen to win. And that's ironically kind of how the fight ended. Yes, Arnold Allen wins and extends his win streak to 10 fights. He's undefeated in the UFC. But Calvin Kattar, so the fight ending sequence came pretty much when Calvin Kattar went for a flying knee. Arnold Allen's footwork, he moved out of the way of this knee, and the way that Calvin Kattar came down, and he like just landed funny. He was turning because Allen was just out of the way, so he threw the flying knee, and Allen like circled out of there. So his body's turning as he's coming down, and just fucking tweaked something in his knee, and for whatever reason, the doctor let them continue. And then he got hit with a leg kick in the other leg and immediately fell to the ground from the pain in his leg that originally popped, the knee that popped out. So then Herb Dean stops it immediately. It was like, there's no reason for that second round, in my opinion. And we saw, like, immediately that fight was stopped. There was nothing, I feel like, outside of a one-punch knockout, a Hail Mary one-punch knockout, there was nothing Kattar was going to do after that injury to be competitive in there. He was too severely compromised. So it's unfortunate for Kattar that it ended that way. But I will say that it was just one round, essentially. It ended like right away in the second round. It was just one round, essentially. And from what I saw, Arnold Allen looked great. I thought Calvin Kattar was going to be the better boxer in there. But it turned out that, like, Arnold was just really sharp. He was all over this man. He's splitting the guard, coming across and like around the guard. He was like all over this man. He was landing some heavy shots. At one point, he was doing his punches and bunches like all over Kattar. I was like, oh shit, is he gonna get him out of there? I felt like when he was landing on Kattar, he was hurting Kattar. All right, so it was only one round, unfortunately. Fair is fair. That's how the fight ended. Now Calvin Kattar is calling for an interim title fight. Or at least like a number one contenders fight. I would like for him to fight either Max Holloway, but not for like an interim. If he fights Max, I want it to be a 5-round like main event, but not for an interim belt. Because worst case scenario, Max wins that fight, and then you have to do Max and Max and Alexander Volkanovski like very soon. For the fourth time. You have to do that fight for the fourth time with nothing really to warrant. So I think Max might need to like get a couple wins and show some improvement in those wins before he's fighting Alexander Volkanovski again, potentially. That's just not what I'm here for. So I would love to see Allen fight Max Holloway, maybe Yair Rodriguez would be great. Like, there's a lot of good fights, dude. I think he mollywops Brian Ortega. I'm a big fan of Arnold Allen, and he looked good in what we did see in that fight. So, shout out to Arnold Allen. Get well soon, Calvin Kattar. Shout out to C-Rod, who looked like a beast on that card. I'm not going to talk about too much here, as I'm saying. Just going to try to keep it brief here. With just how the audio is probably going to sound and whatnot. I'm just going to try to keep it brief. Plus, I'm feeling kind of stuffy here, ladies and gentlemen. Just pardon me. Yeah. This reminds me of back when I was on the other podcast. I was on this old hip hop podcast, and we would record at my house. And when we record, I would like play. I would try to find the most random shit that I could find on YouTube, and we'd have the volume off, but I needed the visuals to be very fucking crazy. And I would just play. I would have that on in the background while we were recording. So like while I'm sitting here recording, I have the TV on. I think it's like Discovery Channel, and this woman is just like biting fish heads on this young girl. Actually, pretty freaky there. So I just took my attention there for a second. So next week we got UFC Vegas 64. Originally it was headlined by I know Bryce Mitchell. I think versus Movsar Evloev. I think that's who he was originally supposed to fight, and then it was like Ilya Taporia, but he's like out of shape, so they moved that back to I think UFC 282, I believe, or 281, one of those cards. Yeah, so now the main event is Marina Rodriguez versus Amanda Lemos, and I believe both ladies are tough. Both ladies are very talented, and I just think on the night, Marina should be the faster of the two. Like, I think either one of these ladies could get it done. I think this is probably as close as a pick'em fight as I feel like you could have. But I think Rodriguez is just going to be faster than Lemos on this fight. So my pick for next week is Marina Rodriguez defeating Amanda Lemos by hook nor crook or whatever the fuck that means. I just think the speed will be the deciding factor in that one. This card is kind of a sleeper card as I'm looking at it. You got Neil Magny versus D-Rod versus Daniel Rodriguez already, dude. That could be a banger potentially, but I think Neil Magny is gonna look to wrestle quite a bit in there. You know, I think that's what we're gonna see. So I think Magny takes this fight. It'd be dope if D-Rod can get this victory here and keep climbing that ladder, but I think Magny will just be better in the grappling exchanges. All right, I think that's going to be the X factor for Neil Magny versus Daniel Rodriguez. You got Mark Madsen versus Daniel Rodriguez. I mean, no, I'm crazy. Pardon me. Mark Madsen versus Grant Dawson. That's a banger. That's going to be a banger. I could steal the show. We got Jailton Almeida versus Max Grishin. That's going to be a crazy fight right there. This is a low-key really good card. This is a sleeper card. So if you guys, I see a lot of hate for women fights online. So if you guys are planning to skip this card because of the headline, you guys are crazy. I mean, you're crazy to skip fights. I mean, I might skip UFC 281 because of the headline, but that's a completely different reason. But you're crazy if you guys are going to skip because the main event is a female fight. You guys are full of shit, and you should really get over yourselves. This card's going to be a banger. So, potential card of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Potential card of the year. Lastly here, last thing I want to touch on. So, I said it after Ben Askren, and then Woodley was like, I'll fight this guy. And then after the Woodley fights, I said it again, and I'll say it now after Silva, and I seriously hope that there is not a Diaz fight. I don't want to see any more of my favorite MMA fighters boxing anybody. Unless you're boxing another fucking like MMA guy, another older MMA guy that's going to have some of the same tendencies of an MMA fighter as you. People just, as I've said here, dude, they're two different sports. You have boxing competitions, and then you have MMA fights. They're two different things. And we're just going to keep seeing motherfucking Jake Paul. Somehow, I'm watching the fight. I watched the fight, and I think I watched up to like the 6th round. But up to that point, I mean, I thought maybe Jake could have taken the first round because Silva didn't really throw too much in the first round. He just kind of frustrate him, as they were saying. And then in the second round, he was all over Jake, hitting him with these uppercuts, just all in his face. I felt like from the second round till at least the sixth round, that Silva was pretty dominant in that fight. But somehow, Jake Paul wins via unanimous decision. He did get a knockdown in the eighth round, which makes it an automatic 10-8 round. So that is, I'm aware of that. I just don't see any reason why any MMA fighters would continue to do this. Like, it's insanity. For them to keep trying this, and then it has the same results where fucking Jake Paul is knocking out Woodley, beating Anderson Silva, knocking out fucking Ben Askren, which, like, there's no reason for Askren to be there. He's not signing up to have a striking competition with anybody. He's not known for striking. He's known to avoid the striking, to maybe use a little bit of the striking to just shoot in, but, like, not really. There's no reason why any MMA guys should fight boxers in boxing, and there's never once been, like, a return, like, of recent. I mean, I know back in, like, the 90s, maybe early 2000s, there was a couple boxers that came over to MMA, and they got pretty destroyed because there's leg kicks and grappling and all kinds of shit. You know, you have, like, Clarissa Shields, but we see how poorly she looked in the grappling there. That's easily her hole. You don't want to stand with that great striker there. So you see what the obvious hole is, and it gets exploited. So I think they should stop. As far as MMA fighters, I'm just pleading. Stop with the Jake Paul. Stop with all boxers in general. I thought people were out of their minds when they actually thought Conor could beat Floyd Mayweather. Like, you're out of your fucking mind. They're like, oh, no, he used to train at a boxing gym. Like, he used to. Did he make it to the level of Floyd Mayweather? No. All right? That wasn't where he was shining. Okay? MMA is where he was shining and where he made his bread and butter. I mean, in boxing is where he really brought home the bacon. In the crossover, where he got embarrassed, but that's what's going to happen. Best case scenario is you make a decent penny while going out there and getting embarrassed by whoever. All right? Embarrassed by whoever. I'm over this whole experiment. All right? I'm done with it. And if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. If you guys want to hit that like button anywhere that you're listening to this, I appreciate that so much. And if you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow your boy at twitch.tv/Babylon5. I swear I'm going to stream. If you guys want to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOM-pod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my Niji, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5pod, and you can be my patrons today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me once again. I'm very sorry for the audio in here. Sounds pretty terrible, I'm sure. But we will be back in Milwaukee next week, unless my plane crashes, unless I die either today or tomorrow. Or sometime before next week. I'll be back in Milwaukee, so everything should be fixed. I'll have the cords that I need. And yeah, and we'll have the audio sounding as it should, and I should hopefully have some video for you guys too. But thank you guys so much for being here another week. Episode 167, 2 birds, 1 scone. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you when I see you. I'll holler.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bang chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bang chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now.